I parked across from the cafe, still holding the ring box in my hand. My palms were sweating. I'd imagined this moment 100 times, her smile, the way she'd cry when I knelt down. I was stupidly happy. Then I saw her, Clara. She wasn't alone. Aaron, I whispered to myself, blinking hard. My best friend's jacket was unmistakable. They were sitting close, too close. Her hand rested on his arm like it belonged there. I got out of the car before I could think. My heart was hammering so hard I thought I'd faint. When I walked inside, the bell above the door rang. Clara's laughter froze mid-air. Aaron turned, his grin vanishing. "Ethan, hey," he stammered. "What's going on?" My voice shook. "Why are you two—" Clara stood up fast. "Ethan, wait. It's not what it looks like." "Really?" I forced a laugh. "Because it looks like you're on a date with my best friend." Aaron raised his hands. "Man, let's just talk—" "No, don't man me." I slammed the ring box on the table. It popped open, the silver ring catching the light. "That was for you, Clara. Today, I was going to ask you to marry me." Her face went pale. "Ethan, I didn't know." "You didn't care," I said quietly. Aaron's jaw clenched. "We didn't plan this. It just happened." "It just happened?" I stepped closer. "You kissed my girlfriend, Aaron." He swallowed. "I didn't mean for you to find out this way." "That makes it better?" I snapped. "You were going to hide it?" Clara's voice trembled. "I didn't want to hurt you." "Then why are you doing it?" She looked down. "Because I don't love you anymore." The words sliced through me. For a moment, all I could hear was the ringing in my ears. Aaron tried to speak again, but I held up my hand. "Don't. You've said enough." "Ethan, please," Clara whispered. "I never wanted this. Then what did you want, Clara?" "Attention? Excitement? Someone new?" Tears welled in her eyes. I wanted to feel alive again. "You stopped trying." Everything between us became routine. I stared at her, unable to breathe. "So you destroy me to feel alive?" Aaron stepped forward. "We didn't mean for it to go this far." I laughed bitterly. "You mean you didn't mean for me to find out?" Silence. The cafe's soft music felt like mockery. A couple at the corner table looked away, pretending not to hear. Clara reached out. "Ethan," I stepped back. "Don't touch me," her lips trembled. "You have every right to hate me." "I don't hate you," I said softly. "I just don't recognize you anymore," Aaron muttered. "Maybe we should give him space." I looked at him. "You took my space. My best friend. My future," he had no words. Neither did I. I picked up the ring box, stared at it for a long time, then set it back down. "You keep it," I told Clara. "Maybe it'll remind you of what you threw away." She shook her head. "Don't do this!" "I'm not doing anything," I whispered. "You already did." As I turned to leave, Aaron said, "Ethan, one day you'll understand." I paused at the door. "Yeah," I said without looking back. "One day you'll regret it." Outside, the wind was cold. My chest felt hollow, like someone had carved out everything that mattered. I walked to my car, trying to steady my breathing. The ring still glimmered in my mind. I couldn't stop seeing her face when she said she didn't love me. When I sat inside the car, my hands wouldn't stop shaking. "Get it together," I muttered. "Just drive," but I didn't. I sat there, staring at the cafe window where they still stood inside, Clara crying, Aaron holding her shoulders. It hurt more than I thought it could. My phone buzzed, Mom's name on the screen. I ignored it. I couldn't talk. Instead, I whispered to no one. I gave her everything. The traffic lights blurred through the tears I refused to let fall. For a while, I just watched people pass by. They laughed, talked, lived, like my world hadn't just ended. I opened the glove compartment, took out the small velvet bag I'd hidden there, and shoved it into the dashboard. "Forget it," I said out loud, but my voice cracked halfway through. Memories came flooding in, her laugh, her warmth, the way she used to hold my hand like she'd never let go. Now she was holding someone else's. The thought made me grip the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. Just a deep, empty ache. The first raindrop hit the windshield, and I whispered, "You'll regret this. Clara." I started the car and drove away from the cafe, away from her, away from the version of me that believed love couldn't break. By the time I reached the end of the street, I wasn't the same man anymore. Ethan, please open the door. Mom's voice came through the wood again, tired, gentle, full of worry. I'm fine, I said, staring at the half-empty bottle on the table. You've been saying that for 3 weeks, she replied. You haven't gone to work. You barely eat. Let me in. I hesitated, then turned the lock. She stepped inside, carrying soup that smelled like memories of better days. Her eyes swept over the mess, papers, clothes, empty cups. My God, Ethan! I said I'm fine. You're not, she said quietly, setting the bowl down.
She hurt you, I know.
But destroying yourself won't fix it. I leaned against the wall. It's not about fixing it. It's about feeling something. You've felt enough pain, she said. You need to feel peace now. I laughed bitterly.
Peace? Mom, she was my whole world.
And she threw it away for someone who pretended to be my brother. Mom's eyes softened. I know, honey, but you can't let bitterness become your home. I'm not bitter, I muttered. Just empty. She sat on the couch beside me. You used to love your work, your music, your life. Now you sit here in the dark. I rubbed my temples. Everything reminds me of her. The songs we played, the coffee mugs, even the way sunlight hits the floor. Mom reached for my hand, then changed the song. Buy new mugs. Move the furniture if you have to. But don't stay here mourning someone who doesn't care. Her words hit hard. You think she doesn't care? She made her choice, Mom said simply. Now you need to make yours. Silence filled the room. Outside, rain tapped the windows like a heartbeat that wouldn't stop. Finally, I said, she looked right at me when she said she didn't love me anymore. Like it was easy, Mom's voice trembled. Sometimes people confuse comfort with love. Maybe she didn't know what love really was. Then why does it feel like I'm the one being punished? Because you actually loved her, she whispered. And love always hurts the one who means it. I closed my eyes. I keep replaying it, the cafe, the ring, the look on her face. Then stop replaying it, she said softly. Start rewriting it, I scoffed. You make it sound simple. It's not simple, she admitted. But it's the only way you'll survive. I stared at the flickering candle on the table. Survive. That's what I'm doing now, I guess, she nodded. Surviving turns into living if you let it. I didn't answer. My throat felt heavy. After a moment, she stood. Eat something, please. I'll call you tomorrow. When she left, the apartment felt heavier than before. I walked to the closet, pulled out an old box of photos. Me and Clara at the beach, laughing under the sun. Her face against my shoulder at Christmas. The note she once left that said, I'll love you forever. Lies. I took them all to the balcony. The air was cold, sharp. My fingers trembled as I lit a match. The flames caught quickly. I loved you, I whispered, and you destroyed me. The pictures curled, blackened, vanished into smoke. The smell of burning paper mixed with the rain, somewhere deep inside. A small voice said, good. Let it die. But another voice whispered, she should feel this too. That thought scared me and thrilled me. I went back inside, closed the door, and watched the city lights flicker. Maybe Mom's right, I muttered. Maybe peace is the goal. Yet as I lay on the couch, Clara's laughter echoed in my mind like a ghost that refused to fade. Peace felt impossible. I stared at the ceiling. One day, I said quietly, she'll know what this feels like. My chest tightened. Not from love anymore, but from something darker, steadier. Anger that didn't burn wild, but cold. I didn't plan revenge that night. I just wanted her to understand. To look in the mirror someday and see what she destroyed. Before sleep came, I whispered into the darkness, you'll remember me. Clara, even if I have to make sure you do. And for the first time since the cafe, my heart didn't feel broken. It felt alive again, beating hard against the silence. Ethan, you sure about this? Mom asked as I adjusted my tie in the mirror. No, I admitted, but staying home won't fix anything. She smiled sadly. Then go. Just remember, you're stronger than what happened. I didn't feel strong. I just felt tired. Reynolds Construction's lobby smelled like polished wood and money. I hadn't been there in years. My pulse quickened when I saw the family name etched on the glass, Reynolds. Her family, Ethan Ward? the receptionist said. Mr. George Reynolds is expecting you in conference room B. I nodded. Thank you. My footsteps echoed on the marble floor as I entered the room. A deep voice greeted me. Ethan, glad you could make it. George Reynolds stood near the window, gray-haired, tall, commanding, but kind. It's been a while, he said. Yes, sir, I replied. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. You earned it, he said, shaking my hand. We're handling a high-profile design for the Westview Tower. I want your architectural vision on it. Before I could respond, another voice entered the room. Uncle George, sorry I'm late. I turned. She walked in with confidence. White blouse, hair neatly tied, eyes sharp as if they saw through everything. This is Isabel Reynolds, George said. Our lead interior designer. Isabel, meet Ethan Ward. Her gaze flicked over me quickly. I've heard your name before, she said. I forced a smile. Hopefully for good reasons, she smirked. We'll find out soon enough, George chuckled. You two will work closely. Isabel doesn't sugarcoat things, but she gets results. I can handle honesty, I said. Good, Isabel replied. Then we'll get along. The meeting went smoothly until the door opened again. I froze. Clara stepped in, holding a folder. For a second, the air left my lungs. Her eyes widened. Ethan? I kept my tone steady. Good morning, Clara. You work here now? I do, I said, flipping a page on my file. Let's focus on the project. She hesitated, clearly thrown off. I didn't know you'd be professional? I interrupted. I try. George glanced between us. You two know each other? Clara stammered. We used to. Old friends, I said quickly. A long time ago. Isabel's eyebrow rose slightly, but she said nothing. Good, George said, moving on. We have deadlines to hit. Let's keep things civil and efficient. I can do that, I said. So can I, Clara murmured. After the meeting, Isabel caught up to me in the hallway. So, she said, crossing her arms, that was interesting. What was? The way you ignored her like she was air, I shrugged. She is air. I just breathe differently now, Isabel laughed quietly. That's poetic. And slightly cold. Cold keeps me sane. She studied me for a moment.
You've been through something messy, haven't you?
Everyone has, I said. Some just hide it better. Well, she said, I don't do pity. I just expect good work. Good, I replied. I prefer respect over pity. Then we'll get along fine. By lunchtime, I sat alone in the cafeteria. Clara walked in with a group of colleagues. Her laughter sounded forced. I didn't look up, but I felt her eyes on me. Ethan, she said finally, stepping closer. Can we talk? About what? About us? There is no us, Clara, just history. Her voice cracked. You don't have to act like I'm nothing. I'm not acting, I said quietly. You chose him. Live with it, her face fell. You've changed. Maybe I finally grew up. She hesitated, then turned away. Isabel passed by just then, catching the tail end of the moment. That looked painful, she said. For her, I muttered. She smirked. For you too, maybe a little. Not anymore. She gave me a curious look. You talk like a man trying to convince himself. Maybe I am. Well, she said, whatever it is, don't bring it into my workspace. Wouldn't dream of it. She tilted her head. You're strange, Ethan. Quiet but full of noise. Story of my life. That night, as I drove home, I realized something strange. I hadn't thought about Clara's betrayal for hours. Instead, I kept thinking about Isabel's sharp voice, her unshaken calm. Maybe it wasn't healing yet, but it was movement. And for the first time in months, movement felt like progress. The sirens came first, distant, then close, then deafening. I was still reviewing blueprints in the trailer when the smoke alarm shrieked. Ethan! Isabel's voice cut through the noise. There's a fire near the west scaffolding. I rushed out. How bad? Electrical short, she shouted, waving through the haze. Someone overloaded the junction box. Flames licked the half-built wall, spreading fast. The air stung my throat. Grab the extinguisher. She pulled one from the cart, but her hands trembled. It's jammed. Give it here! I yanked the pin, aimed, and blasted the flames. Sparks hissed. Stay back! I'm not leaving you, she snapped. You're stubborn. Better than being reckless, she shot back, coughing. We worked side by side, smothering the fire until the smoke thinned and the roar died down. My heart pounded like a drum in my ribs. Then I heard her gasp. Ow, damn it, I turned. Blood streaked her sleeve. You're hurt. It's nothing, she said, clutching her arm. That's not nothing. I took her wrist gently. You've got glass in there. Figures, she muttered. Even fire can't resist cutting me. You need a hospital. She tried to pull away. I said I'm fine. Isabel. My voice came out firmer than I intended. You're not. She looked at me then. Really looked. The edge in her eyes softened. You're serious about everything, aren't you? Only the things that matter. Since when do I matter? Since you ran toward a fire instead of away from it. That earned me a small, tired smile. You're a strange man, Ethan. And you're bleeding, I said. Come on. At the hospital, she sat on the bed while a nurse wrapped her arm. I leaned against the wall, covered in soot. She glanced at me. You look like a firefighter who lost the fight. I feel like one, I said. You scared me back there. Don't flatter me. You looked more angry than scared. Maybe both, she exhaled, wincing as the nurse tightened the bandage. I hate hospitals. Too many memories. Bad ones? The worst, she said quietly. I once spent 3 nights here after catching my fiancé cheating with my best friend in our apartment. I fell apart, passed out, hit my head on the counter. Pathetic, right? I shook my head. No, human. She studied me. You don't look surprised. I'm not, I said. Betrayal leaves a smell. Once you've burned in it, you recognize it anywhere. She smiled faintly. So you've burned too? Completely. Her eyes softened. Clara? I didn't answer, but the silence told her everything. Guess we're both survivors of bad choices, she said. Or bad people, I replied. Maybe both. We laughed quietly, the kind that hides more pain than joy. She leaned back against the pillow. You ever wonder if broken people attract each other because we recognize the damage? All the time, I said. It's like mirrors meeting mirrors. And if we keep looking long enough, she whispered, we might see something we like again. For a second, I forgot the smell of smoke, the noise, the ache in my chest. It was just her, raw, strong, human. Hours later, Clara appeared at the doorway. Her eyes darted from Isabel to me. Ethan, you're here? She got hurt at the site, I said. I brought her in. Clara stepped closer, voice trembling. I heard about the fire. I wanted to check on her. Isabel smiled weakly. I'll live, Clara. Thanks for coming. Clara's gaze shifted to me. You've got soot everywhere, she murmured. You could have been killed. Would have been easier, I said dryly. That's not funny. It wasn't a joke. The room went still. Isabel looked from her cousin to me, sensing the tension but staying silent. Clara whispered, I miss when you talked to me without walls. I miss when you didn't set them on fire, I replied. Her eyes welled. Ethan, please. I should go, I said, turning toward the door. Ethan, Isabel called softly. Thank you, I looked back once. Get some rest. Clara reached for me, but I stepped past her without meeting her eyes. The hallway felt colder than the smoke ever did. Outside, I sat on the curb under the harsh hospital lights. My hands still smelled like burnt wood and ash. For the first time in a long while, someone had seen my scars without judging them, and that, terrifying as it was, felt like the beginning of something I didn't yet understand. The hallway was quieter than usual, but I could feel it buzzing with whispers. Ethan, Clara's voice cut through, sharp as glass. I looked up. She was standing there, arms crossed, eyes blazing. Can we talk? About what? I asked, calm but measured. Don't act like you don't know, she snapped. Everyone's talking. You're using Isabel to get back at me. I raised an eyebrow. Using her? You think too highly of yourself, Clara. Her face twisted. That's cruel. I'm being honest, I said. You made your choices. I'm making mine. You don't care about her feelings at all. She's not a pawn, I said. Not like you thought of me, apparently. Clara's jaw tightened. So what then? You like her? Maybe, I said. Or maybe she's just the only person who doesn't make me want to hate the world. You're impossible, she said, shaking her head. I'm realistic, I replied, straightening my jacket. You made your bed, Clara. Don't lie to yourself about what's happening now. She stared for a long moment, then turned abruptly and walked away. I didn't follow. A few hours later, Isabel appeared beside me at the copier. She leaned against the machine, arms folded. "You ignored Clara again," she said, eyebrow raised. "She needed to hear it," I said. "You've got that calm but dangerous thing going on," she said softly. "It suits you," I frowned. "You're making that sound like a compliment." "It is," she said, shrugging. "But I overheard earlier what you said to her." "Ah," I said. "And?" "Are you serious?" "I am." I told her the truth. She studied me carefully. "About using me." "Is that true?" I hesitated, watching her. "I don't know yet. I can't say for sure what I feel. But I do know you're the only person who makes me feel peace, not hate, not anger." Her eyes softened. "Peace, huh?" "Yes," I said. "It's rare for me." "You're rare." She laughed quietly, a gentle sound that made my chest ache. "You're a complicated man, Ethan Ward. And you're too perceptive for your own good," I said, smirking. She shook her head. "Don't let revenge build your love." I looked away, leaning back against the counter. "I don't think it's revenge. Maybe it's survival." She tilted her head, considering me. "Survival can be dangerous if it turns into obsession." "I can handle it," I said. "I've handled worse." She smiled faintly. "We'll see." Later in the break room, I found myself watching her from across the table. She stirred her coffee slowly, looking thoughtful. "You keep thinking too hard," she said, noticing me. "Not thinking," I said. "Observing." "Observing is overthinking in disguise," she said. "Watch out or you'll invent feelings you don't have yet." "I'm inventing nothing," I replied. "I just appreciate the calm you bring. That's all I can be certain of." Her gaze lingered on me. "It's more than you think. You'll figure it out soon." "I hope," I muttered. The whispers didn't stop entirely that day. People glanced our way, curious, maybe judging. I didn't care. Clara avoided me completely after that hallway confrontation. I caught her eye once in the elevator, and she looked away quickly. Frustration and something else, regret, I thought, written all over her face. Isabel stayed by my side, calm and unshakable. A contrast to the storm Clara brought wherever she went. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe without my chest tightening. "You're changing," Isabel said quietly as we left the office together. "Maybe," I admitted. "Or maybe I'm finally seeing who I want to be with clarity." She smiled faintly. "Good! Just make sure clarity isn't revenge in disguise." "Not revenge," I said firmly. "Just peace. That's all I'm looking for now." She nodded, satisfied, and we walked down the hall together. For the first time, the whispers in the office felt distant, irrelevant. I didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but today, I was just steady. "Ethan, can you believe we actually finished this on time?" Isabel asked, her eyes bright, hands on her hips. "I can believe it," I said, grinning. "We've survived worse than deadlines," she laughed. "Touché, but this one deserves a proper celebration." George Reynolds raised his glass first at the company party. "To Ethan and Isabel." "Exceptional work, you two." "Honestly, Ethan, maybe you should become part of the family while you're at it." I froze for a second, then looked at Isabel. Her smile was warm, steady, teasing. My chest tightened. "I think I'll consider that," I said lightly, lifting my glass. "Don't start flirting now," she said, smirking. "I'm not," I said. "Just acknowledging truth," George chuckled. "Truth and charm, two rare traits in this business. Ethan, you've earned more than praise tonight." "I appreciate that," I said. Clara, across the room, looked as though someone had poured cold water over her, her lips pressed tight. Aaron hovered nearby, looking uncomfortable. I didn't look at them. I didn't have to. Later, Isabel leaned close. "You're unusually quiet tonight," she whispered. "Processing," I said. "Watching everyone react." "You're watching me too," she teased. "Maybe," I admitted, not taking my eyes off her. "Maybe it's easier to watch you than anyone else." She glanced at me. "That sounds suspiciously like admiration." "Maybe it's respect," I said, smiling faintly. "Mixed with something else," she raised an eyebrow. "Something else?" I leaned closer. "Something like wanting you in my life for more than projects and deadlines." Her lips parted slightly. "Ethan." I swallowed. Weeks of planning, thinking, worrying. It all came down to this. Isabel, will you marry me? The room seemed to go silent, even with music playing and laughter around us. What? She whispered, shock flashing in her eyes. I want you, I said simply. Not just as my partner at work. Not just as a friend. As the person I want to build my life with. Will you say yes? She blinked, voice catching. You mean that? I do, I said, reaching for her hand. Completely, sincerely. She didn't speak for a moment. Then slowly she nodded. Yes. I couldn't stop the grin that spread across my face. I slipped a simple ring onto her finger. Her eyes shone, and I felt something shift in me, a final weight lifting from the past. The news didn't take long to spread. At the next meeting, Clara's face went pale the moment she walked in and heard whispers. Her hands tightened around her coffee cup. Aaron avoided eye contact completely, shifting uncomfortably in his chair. Ethan, George said, smiling broadly. Looks like I'll need a new nephew. Don't forget me in the family toast, Isabel whispered. Never, I said, squeezing her hand. Later, outside, we walked through the quiet garden behind the office. The night air smelled of roses and damp earth. You really did it, she said, laughing softly. You scared me first, then shocked me completely. I had to make sure it was the right moment, I said. And that I was the right man for you, she stopped, turning to face me. You are, I pulled her close. And I want to spend the rest of my life proving it. Her smile made the world feel lighter. For the first time in months, my chest didn't ache. Do you think they'll handle the news? She asked, nodding toward the building. They'll manage, I said. They always do. But it's funny, isn't it? The people who hurt me most? Watching them realize I'm happy now. She leaned her head on my shoulder. It's ironic, bittersweet. Bittersweet is good, I said. It reminds me how far we've come. I can't believe this is real, she whispered. It is, I said, pressing a kiss to her forehead. And it's only the beginning. We stayed in the garden a while longer, quiet, just breathing together. I thought about Clara and Aaron, but the ache they left felt smaller. Distant, for the first time I felt strong, in control, and unafraid of the past. This, I said softly, is everything I've waited for. And more, Isabel said, smiling. I nodded. Exactly. More than I ever imagined. The night wrapped around us, stars above like witnesses. I didn't need approval from anyone else anymore. I had her. I had peace. I had a future, and I knew without doubt nothing could break me again. The envelopes were stacked neatly on the table, each one bearing our names in gold lettering. I picked up the first invitation and stared at it for a long moment before sliding it into its envelope. Daniel, our wedding planner, peeked over my shoulder. You know, if you keep staring at those like they're weapons, they might just attack you. I smirked faintly. I'd let them. Some of these names deserve it, he chuckled. Careful, sir. People have been known to cry over stationery. Not my problem, I said, sealing the last envelope. Weeks later, one arrived at Clara's apartment. I didn't watch her open it, but I imagined her hands trembling as she read the elegant script. She appeared at my office that afternoon, sudden as a storm. Ethan, she said, voice tight. We need to talk. I didn't stand. I stayed behind my desk, calm. About what, Clara? Don't do this, she said, holding up the invitation. Don't marry her. You don't love her, you're just trying to hurt me. I looked at her quietly. Maybe I'm just trying to love someone who didn't destroy me. Her hands shook. That's not fair. You can't do this to me, not after everything. I'm not doing this to you, I said softly. I'm doing it for me. Clara's eyes filled with tears. I ruined everything. You ruined what you chose to, I said. Don't blame me for moving forward. Her lip quivered. Ethan, I can't. Then stop trying, I said. My voice was steady, but my chest ached. She sank into the chair across from me. I didn't realize... Her voice cracked. I didn't realize what I had. Realization doesn't undo the past, I said quietly. Her hands clenched together. I loved you. You still what? I asked. Want what's gone? Or want what's impossible? She didn't answer. She just stared at the floor, and I let her sit there, knowing words couldn't fix what was broken. Later, Isabel arrived, sensing something heavy. She leaned against the doorframe. Everything okay? I nodded slowly. Better than okay. Complicated, but better. Her gaze was steady. You're quiet. That's a dangerous sign. I'm thinking, I said. About the past, about the people we leave behind, and about what I want now. You're marrying me, she said softly, almost to herself. Yes, I said. Because I want you. Not out of revenge, not out of obligation, but because you make me feel whole. She smiled faintly, reaching for my hand. I trust you. And I believe love can heal you, even the parts no one else could touch. I squeezed her hand. I'm hoping you're right, Daniel burst in then, waving a stack of papers. Good news. Caterers confirmed, floral arrangements finalized, and we have a cake tasting tomorrow. Exciting, right? I forced a smile. Exciting, Isabel laughed softly. You look calm. That's scary. Calm before the storm, I muttered. Daniel frowned.
Storm? What storm?
Nothing, I said. Just life catching up. Clara's absence at the office was noticeable that week. I saw her only once in passing, and her eyes met mine briefly, full of regret, maybe anger, definitely loss. I didn't speak. I let the silence say what words never could, Isabel noticed, leaning close. That was hard, wasn't it? It always is, I admitted. But this time I'm not broken by it. I'm moving forward. She rested her head lightly against my shoulder. Then let's move forward together. Yes, I said. Together. That night I placed the last invitation into the mailbox myself. A sense of finality settled over me, heavier than joy, lighter than guilt. Clara would remember. She would regret. But I would remember too, how fragile people are, how quickly love can turn to ashes, and how slowly, painfully, we can rebuild it with someone who truly sees us. And I did. I stared at myself in the mirror, adjusting the cuff of my sleeve. You look good, Daniel said, peeking around the door with a grin. Better than good. Handsome. Almost dangerous. I'm not dangerous, I muttered, straightening my tie. Sure, he said, smirking. Dangerous charm is exactly what brides like. I ignored him, breathing slowly. This suit, it felt heavy with memory. I'd never imagined wearing it for anyone other than Clara. Yet here I was, ready to walk down the aisle for Isabel. The chapel doors opened. A hush swept through the crowd. Ethan, Isabel whispered, taking my hand gently. Are you nervous? Terrified, I admitted. But ready, her smile calmed something deep inside me. You'll do fine. I looked at the aisle, then back at her. I can't believe this is happening. It's happening because we're ready, she said softly. The music began. She stepped forward. Radiant, calm, every eye on her. My chest tightened, not with fear, not with doubt, but with something light, warm, and unfamiliar. She walked toward me, and I realized the weight of the past had lifted slightly. The fire, the betrayal, the heartbreak, it all felt smaller now. Clara sat among the guests, her hands folded tightly in her lap. Her eyes searched for me, wide and filled with regret. I didn't look at her. Not once. Aaron stood beside her, expressionless, like he had nothing left to feel. I felt nothing for them now, only distance and the faint sting of memory. Ethan, Isabel whispered again. I see you, I said, and I'm not letting go this time. She laughed softly. Good, I don't want you to. The officiant began speaking, but I barely heard him. I was focused entirely on her, on the way her hands fit into mine, on the calm strength in her eyes. I promise, I said quietly, leaning closer so only she could hear. I'm not marrying you for anyone else. Not for the past. Not for revenge. I'm marrying you because you helped me rebuild myself, piece by piece, day by day. She blinked, tears forming at the corners of her eyes. And I promise to keep building with you, she whispered. The officiant's words blurred as I watched her smile, the same smile that had pulled me through months of chaos and pain. I felt my chest loosen, the tension I'd carried for so long melting. When it came time to exchange vows, I took a deep breath. Isabel, I vow to love you honestly, fiercely, and quietly when the world feels loud. I vow to protect what we have, to honor what we've built together, and to let go of everything that once held me back. I vow the same, she said, voice steady. I promise to see you, to trust you, and to help you heal when the world tries to hurt you again. The rings slid onto our fingers. I felt the weight, not as a burden, but as a symbol of new beginnings. We turned to face the guests, and the smiles we received felt like sunlight on my skin. Clara's gaze found me once. Her lips trembled, her regret plain as day. But I felt no anger, only closure. Aaron avoided eye contact entirely, like a shadow trying to hide from light. I looked past him, past the ghosts of the past, and only saw Isabel. "Ethan," she whispered, as we took the final step together. "Ready?" "Always," I said. When we kissed, the chapel seemed to hold its breath. I realized then this wasn't about revenge. It never was. It was about love. True, steady, patient love. Clara would live with her choices. I would live with mine. And for the first time in years, I felt whole. Isabel squeezed my hand, leaning against me as we walked down the aisle together, finally unburdened, finally free. The past whispered, yes, but it no longer dictated my steps. I looked at her, really looked, and thought, this is why I survived everything, and in that moment I smiled. Not because I won, not because I hurt anyone, but because I had found peace, and the woman who made it possible. The knock at the door startled me. "Ethan?" Clara's voice trembled, soft, hesitant. I didn't answer immediately. I waited, letting the silence stretch. Can I come in?" she asked again, voice barely above a whisper. I opened the door. She stepped inside, eyes red, shoulders slumped. She looked broken. "I didn't mean for any of it," she said, voice shaking. Aaron left me." And I realized I lost everything that mattered. I nodded slowly, remaining quiet. "You were always the better man," she admitted, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I know that now." You don't have to say more," I said softly, keeping my voice even. "I should have fought for you," she said, voice barely audible. "I should have loved you properly, but I ruined it. I ruined us, and now I have nothing. I just wanted you to know. I'm sorry," I listened. Every word hit differently than it would have months ago. No anger, no hatred, just understanding. "Maybe once," I said, voice low, steady. I wanted to hear that. Wanted it more than anything. But now, I paused, letting the words settle. "Now I just hope you find peace. That's all I want for you," she choked on a sob. "Do you mean that?" "I do," I said. "Really. I'm not wishing you harm. I'm wishing you closure, a chance to heal." Her hands trembled as she clasped them together. "You don't even look angry." "Not at me. How is that possible?" "I guess," I said quietly, "I've learned that holding on to bitterness only hurts me." "You had your choices. I had mine. We both live with them now." She nodded slowly, letting the words sink in. I can't believe I waited this long to realize." "You can't change the past," I said. "You can only change the future, and that's something you still have." Her shoulders sagged further, a mix of relief and resignation. "I lost you, Ethan, truly, and I have no one to blame but myself." "You lost what you chose to," I corrected gently. "And now you know. That's enough for the lesson, isn't it?" She laughed softly, bitter and wet with tears. "Yes, I suppose it is." We stood in silence for a moment, the air heavy but not hostile. I felt the last thread of anger fray and snap inside me. I finally forgave you," I whispered, mostly to myself. Her head lifted, eyes searching mine. "You mean that?" "I do," I said. "Not because you deserve it, but because I deserve to move on. To be free of it, and you deserve the chance to learn from it." Clara blinked, tears glimmering in the light. "Thank you, Ethan. Thank you for not hating me. I don't know if I could have forgiven myself otherwise." "You'll find a way," I said. "We both will. Just promise me you'll take care of yourself." "I will," she whispered. She wiped her cheeks and took a tentative step back. "Goodbye, Ethan. Truly." "Goodbye, Clara," I said. The door closed and the apartment felt quieter than ever. I leaned against the wall for a moment, letting the weight of the past lift entirely. Moments later, Isabel arrived. She wrapped her arms around me without a word. I felt the warmth of her presence steady and unwavering. "You okay?" she asked softly. I nodded, exhaling a long breath. "I think I finally forgave her," I said, my voice low but calm. She smiled, squeezing me tighter. "I'm glad. That means you're really free now. Free, I repeated. The word felt light, like a door opening wide inside me. She rested her head against my shoulder. All the weight you carried, it's gone? Mostly, I said, letting myself smile. And it's replaced with something better. She lifted her head, eyes meeting mine. Better? Yes, I said. Love, trust, peace. She laughed softly, the sound bright and comforting. That's a lot better than revenge or bitterness. I nodded, feeling it deep in my chest. Much better. For the first time in what felt like forever, I could breathe without pain in my lungs. I could see the future clearly, with her by my side. Clara's regrets were her own now. I had mine, only lighter. Only lessons. And I realized then truly that moving forward didn't mean forgetting. It meant letting go. I let go, and peace finally felt like mine. I stirred my coffee slowly, watching the steam curl toward the ceiling. The cafe smelled the same as it had years ago, warm, comforting, a little bitter. You've been quiet all morning, Isabel said, smiling across the table. Just thinking, I said, taking a sip. About work? Or something else? Everything, really, I admitted. Life, how far we've come, she laughed softly. You're sentimental today. Maybe, I said. Or maybe I'm just grateful. You know, for everything, she tilted her head. For me? For you, I said, smiling. And for myself. For learning how to live again. A young couple walked past the window, holding hands, laughing. I couldn't help but smile. The way they looked at each other reminded me of something I once had, and something I finally understood I had now, in a better way. You're staring, Isabel said. Thinking about them? Not really, I said, shaking my head. Just remembering how much I've changed. How so? She asked, curious. I used to think I needed revenge to heal, I said. I thought proving myself, hurting the ones who hurt me, that would fix things. But it didn't, not really, she nodded. What did? Love, I said simply. Peace, letting go of the bitterness that controlled me for months, years even. You showed me that. She reached across the table, squeezing my hand. I'm glad. That's what I hope for you. I smiled, remembering everything. The fire, the hospital, the wedding, Clara's last apology. All of it had led me here, sitting with her, finally whole. You've changed, she said softly. Not just outwardly, but inside. I can see it. I hope so, I said, watching her eyes. I want to be a better man. Not just for you, but for myself. For the life I want to live. Do you ever think about her? She asked gently. Clara, my past? The woman who broke my heart, I do, I admitted. Not with anger anymore. Not with bitterness. But with understanding. Without her, I never would have learned what truly matters. I never would have rebuilt myself, she nodded. So you even thank her? I do, I said quietly. Not for hurting me, but for showing me how strong I could become. How to survive heartbreak and come out better on the other side. Ethan, she whispered, leaning closer. You've come a long way. I have, I said. And it feels good, peaceful. Like I'm finally exactly who I'm supposed to be. The young couple outside laughed again, and I noticed how freely they moved, unburdened. I realized I had finally reached that point too. Free from the chains of anger, free from the shadows of regret, free to be present, fully alive. I see the man you've become, Isabel said, her voice soft but sure. And it's because I finally let go, I said. Let go of the pain, let go of the need for revenge, let go of anything that held me back. And that includes letting love guide me instead. She smiled, reaching for my coffee. That's the man I fell in love with. The man I'll grow old with. I took her hand, resting it over mine. I hope so. Because this... I gestured to the cafe, to the moment, to us. This is everything I've been waiting for. You've earned it, she said. Every bit of it. I chuckled softly, watching the couple outside cross the street, holding hands, brimming with the excitement of young love. You see them? I said. I used to think life was about holding grudges, fighting battles that didn't matter. Now, I see it's about moments like this, love, peace, being present. She leaned her head against my shoulder. You've learned well. I closed my eyes briefly, feeling the warmth of the moment, the weight of the past finally lifted. Thank you, I whispered. For everything, Isabel, and for letting me rebuild myself stronger than ever. She kissed my cheek gently. I'll always be here, always. I opened my eyes and smiled, looking around the cafe. Everything felt right. I had survived heartbreak, betrayal, and regret. I had chosen peace. I had chosen love, and I knew deep down I would never be the same man who once broke inside that very cafe. I had become someone better,